What if I told you there is one weapon on this planet that has never been fired, but has brought entire nations to their knees? It has no army, no missiles, no borders, but kings fear it, presidents obey it, and wars have been quietly started. Because of it, you carry a piece of this weapon in your pocket every single day. It's called the US dollar. And the story of how a small piece of paper conquered the entire world is the most insane thriller you've never been told. Buckle up, because this story has wars, betrayals, secret deals, and a plot twist that changed everything. Travel back, way back, thousands of years ago. If you wanted fish and I had wheat, we traded directly. Simple, but messy. What if I didn't want your wheat? What if the fish went bad? The barter system was breaking down faster than civilizations were growing. So humanity invented something genius. Commodity money. Gold, silver, copper. Things people universally agreed had value. Then around 600 BCE, in a kingdom called Lydia, present-day Turkey, something revolutionary happened. They minted the world's first official coin, a gold-silver mix stamped with a symbol. It said, "This is worth something, trust us." That little coin changed everything. But coins were heavy. Carrying a chest of gold across deserts was dangerous. So traders started doing something clever. They deposited their gold with trusted merchants and received a paper receipt instead. A receipt that said, "This paper is worth this much gold." Those receipts became the world's first paper money. China's Song dynasty used them in the 11th century. By 1694, England made it official with the British pound. And for 2 centuries, the British pound ruled the world. Britain had colonies everywhere, ships on every ocean. The pound was the global currency, the measuring stick for all other money. But then, something happened that nobody saw coming. World War I, 1914. Europe tore itself apart. Britain, the world's financial superpower, spent so much on war that by the end, its debt was 1.3 times its entire economy. The pound started wobbling. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic Ocean, America watched and sold weapons to everyone. By the time the war ended, Europe owed America billions. The US had gone from a country that didn't even have a central bank before 1913 to the world's biggest creditor nation. The balance had shifted, but that was just the warm-up. World War II hit like a meteor. Million Soviets dead. 70,000 villages in Europe destroyed. Asia in flames. Britain surviving, but barely. But America? America entered late, fought hard at the end, and emerged from the rubble of the world completely intact. More than that, while Europe was in ruins, American factories had been running non-stop for years, producing weapons for the war. By 1945, America controlled over 70% of the world's gold reserves. America produced more than 50% of the world's industrial output. Most of the world's major nations owed America money. The planet was destroyed. One country was standing, and that country was about to make the most powerful financial move in human history. July 1944. The war is almost over, but 44 countries are already nervous about what comes next. Who controls money when this is all over? They gather in a small resort town in New Hampshire, Bretton Woods, and make a deal that the world is still living inside today. Here was the deal. The US dollar would be tied to gold at a fixed rate, $35 per ounce. Every other country's currency would be tied to the dollar. The dollar becomes the world's measuring stick, the global anchor. 2 new institutions were born, the IMF and the World Bank, both powered by dollars, giving loans in dollars, expecting repayments in dollars. America also launched the Marshall Plan, $13 billion to rebuild Europe. Generous? Yes. Strategic? Absolutely. Because every dollar that rebuilt Europe kept Europe inside the dollar system, slowly, quietly, beautifully. The dollar became the air that the global economy breathed. Countries needed dollars to trade. They stored dollars as reserves. They borrowed in dollars. They measured their own currencies against dollars. The trap was set, and the world walked in, willingly. But here's where the story gets dark. Remember, the dollar was tied to gold. That meant America had to have enough gold to back every dollar in the world. But during the 1950s and 60s, America was spending like there was no tomorrow. Vietnam War, Cold War, military bases across the globe. space race. And to pay for it all, America printed more dollars. The problem? The gold didn't grow, but the dollars did. By the 1960s, there were far more dollars in the world than gold. In America's vaults, countries started noticing. France noticed first. French President Charles de Gaulle looked at his country's dollar reserves, then looked at America's gold vaults, and did the math. He loaded actual ships with dollars, sailed them to America, and demanded gold in return. Other countries followed. America's gold reserves, once 20,000 tons, started bleeding. By 1971, only 8,000 tons remained. America faced two choices: lose all its gold or break the deal. On August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon went on television. He smiled, and then he broke the world. The United States will no longer convert dollars to gold. Just like that, the gold standard was dead. The dollar was now backed by nothing. No gold, no silver, just trust. The world panicked. Economists predicted the dollar would collapse. It didn't, because by then, the world had no choice. The dollar was everywhere. Trade happened in dollars. Debt was in dollars. Banks held dollars. Switching away wasn't just difficult, it was practically impossible. But America wasn't done, because it had one more trick up its sleeve. And this one was absolutely genius. After the gold standard died, one question remained. What gives the dollar its value now? The answer came from the most unexpected place: the desert oil. After World War II, it was clear. Oil wasn't just fuel. It was the blood of the modern world. Factories ran on it, planes flew on it, militaries depended on it. Without oil, economies didn't just slow down, they died. And most of the world's oil sat in one region, the Middle East. Saudi Arabia had enormous oil reserves but needed technology to extract it. American companies helped build the infrastructure. A relationship formed. Then in 1974, America made an offer to Saudi Arabia that couldn't be refused. Sell your oil only in US dollars. In exchange, we protect you. Military weapons, security guarantees. We keep your throne safe. Saudi Arabia said yes. OPEC followed. And with that one secret deal, America had done something extraordinary. It had linked the dollar to oil. Every country on earth that wanted to buy oil, India, China, Japan, Germany, Brazil, everyone, now needed US dollars first. The dollar was no longer backed by gold. It was backed by energy itself. And if any country tried to break this arrangement, the dark chapter, Iraq, 2000. Saddam Hussein announces that Iraq will sell its oil in euros instead of dollars, a direct challenge to the petrodollar system. 3 years later, America invades Iraq. Saddam is captured, tried, executed. Iraq goes back to selling oil in dollars. Libya, 2011. Muammar Gaddafi had a dream, a single African gold-backed currency, Pan-African trade free from the dollar. He called it the gold dinar. He spoke about it openly, pushed other African nations toward it. NATO intervened. Gaddafi's regime collapsed. He was killed in the street. The gold dinar, gone. Forever, Iran. After the 1979 revolution, Iran began rejecting dollar-based trade and building alternative payment systems. America responded with decades of crushing economic sanctions, banking restrictions, financial isolation. Iran's economy was strangled. The message to the world was unmistakable. You are free to trade however you want, as long as it involves dollars. And if you don't understand that message, we will make sure you do. But America's control wasn't just through deals and deterrence. It had built something even more powerful, the architecture of global finance itself. Enter SWIFT, a messaging network connecting over 11,000 banks in more than 200 countries. Every international payment goes through it. Every transfer, every trade, every transaction. SWIFT carries the instruction, and SWIFT is controlled by the West with strong American influence. Think of it as the Internet of money. Now imagine someone can cut your country off the Internet. That's what SWIFT exclusion does. In 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, major Russian banks were cut off from SWIFT. Instantly, Russia's ability to send or receive international payments froze. Trade routes collapsed. Economic pressure mounted, not from bombs, but from a messaging network, sanctions, tariffs, exclusion. These are America's new weapons, and the dollar is the ammunition. The story doesn't end with oil and sanctions, it evolves. The digital revolution, born in America, gave us IBM, Intel, Microsoft. Global banking switched to American computer systems. Then came Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, NASDAQ, NYSE. The dollar didn't just move through physical banks anymore. It moved through digital rails at the speed of light, billions of times a day. Then came Silicon Valley. Apple, Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft. Companies with global customers, global revenues, all accounted in dollars. Today, in the age of AI, OpenAI, NVIDIA, Google DeepMind, the next generation of the world's economy is being built by American companies funded in dollars, valued in dollars. The dollar isn't just a currency anymore. It is the operating system of the world. Many have tried to dethrone the dollar. None have succeeded. Yet, China has pushed the yuan in bilateral trade deals. But the yuan isn't freely convertible. China's financial system lacks transparency. Global investors don't fully trust it. The yuan remains a regional player, not a global one. Russia tried to pivot to rubles and yuan after sanctions. But Russia's economy is too small, its currency too volatile to anchor global trade. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, has talked about a common currency and dollar-free trade. But BRICS nations have vastly different economies, political systems and interests. A shared currency requires shared trust. That trust doesn't exist yet. The numbers today? 54% of the world's export invoices are in dollars. 57% of global foreign reserves are held in dollars. 88% of all global currency transactions involve the dollar. When people say the rupee fell, or the yen weakened, or the euro dropped, they always mean compared to the dollar. The dollar is the ruler by which all other money is measured. De-dollarization is real, but it is slow, difficult, and decades away, at minimum. So here is the twist that brings it all together. The dollar started with nothing, no global role, no central bank, no empire. Then 2 world wars handed it the throne, then Bretton Woods made it the law, then the petrodollar made it the only key to energy, then SWIFT made it the gatekeeper to global trade, then Silicon Valley made it the currency of the digital future, and now AI is making it the currency of intelligence itself. No gun was ever fired for the dollar. No army ever marched for it. But it built the most powerful empire in human history, one that lives not in land, but in systems. The British Empire ruled with ships. The Roman Empire ruled with roads. America rules with something you can't see, can't touch and can't easily escape, a number on a screen, in a currency called the dollar. And right now, as you watch this, that invisible king is collecting its tribute from every transaction, every oil barrel, every loan, and every saved reserve, in every country, on every continent, on Earth. The most powerful weapon ever built is the one nobody thinks is a weapon.